Have you been praying but nothing's changing? Do you feel like your life is stuck in the same place, no matter how hard you try? Does it ever feel like everyone is moving forward except you? Have you started wondering, is God even listening to me anymore? You're not alone, and you're not forgotten. What you're feeling right now, this pain, this silence, it has a purpose. Let me take you to a moment you know too well. It's late at night, everyone's asleep, the house is quiet, but your thoughts aren't. You're lying there, staring at the ceiling. You've been making dua, you've been trying, but it's like the world doesn't notice and heaven isn't responding. No callbacks, no healing, no peace, just waiting. And deep down, this quiet voice inside you is asking, why is nothing happening for me? But what if something is happening, just not where you can see it? What if God is already working on your behalf, silently, gently, with a wisdom beyond your understanding? Sometimes we expect divine help to arrive loudly, in sudden miracles or quick answers. But more often, it comes quietly, through closed doors that protect you, through delays that prepare you, through moments that feel empty but are actually full of hidden mercy. This isn't easy to hear when your heart is tired, when you feel abandoned, when you've tried to stay patient, but your chest feels heavy. But that weight you feel, it's not failure. It's a sign that your heart is still alive, still hoping, still reaching, and that's beautiful. The Qur'an reminds us, you may dislike something while it is good for you, and you may like something while it is bad for you. God knows, and you do not know. You don't have to understand everything right now. You don't have to feel strong today. You just need to know this. God is not ignoring you. He is protecting you. He is preparing you. And He is guiding you, even when you can't see where you're going. Maybe the delay in your life isn't a punishment. Maybe it's a pause to help you grow into the version of you that can carry the blessings you asked for. Maybe the silence isn't rejection. Maybe it's the sound of something being rearranged for your good. And maybe the fact that you're even listening to this message right now is part of that plan, because healing doesn't always begin with answers. Sometimes it begins with reminders. Reminders that you are seen, you are loved, and you are never alone, even in the darkest parts of your journey. So, if your life feels heavy right now, if your prayers feel unanswered, if your hope feels like it's hanging by a thread, just pause, take a deep breath, and listen closely. You are not stuck. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. There are signs all around you that something bigger is happening. Small shifts in your heart, random kindness from strangers, a message that reaches you at the exact moment you needed it. These aren't coincidences. They're gentle signs that God is moving things for you. And in this video, we're going to walk through 7 of those signs together. 7 quiet, powerful indicators that the one who created you has not left you, that He is still writing your story, still unfolding your future, still working silently on your behalf. Stay with me, because this message might be the turning point you didn't know your soul needed. Have you ever felt like life is testing you over and over without any explanation? You keep doing the right things, you pray, you stay patient, you try to stay hopeful, but nothing seems to go your way. Instead of ease, you find heartbreak. Instead of support, you feel alone. And instead of relief, you feel like you're just surviving. You begin to wonder, is there something wrong with me? Did I make a mistake I can't recover from? Why do I feel so far from everything, even from Allah? These are questions so many of us silently carry. And it's okay to admit that you're tired. It's okay to say, I don't understand what's happening right now. Because Allah never asked us to always be strong. He simply asked us to turn to Him, especially when we feel weak. There's a special kind of closeness that comes in those moments, not when things are perfect, but when we're broken. Not when we have answers, but when we only have tears. This isn't about losing faith. It's about real faith. The kind of faith that says, even when I don't see the way, I still believe there is a way. The kind of faith that whispers, I don't know why this is happening, but I trust that it's not for nothing. You see, life isn't meant to be a straight path. Even those who were closest to Allah, the prophets, faced rejection, pain, loneliness, and loss. Yet their struggles were not signs of failure. They were signs of transformation. They were being shaped, molded, and prepared for something greater than they could imagine. And the same may be happening to you right now. You might feel like you're at a dead end. But what if this dead end is actually the beginning of a new chapter? What if the pain you're feeling is actually pulling you away from what would have harmed you? What if your delay is not a denial, but a detour towards something better? This is where we need to pause and pay attention, because there are signs, quiet signs, that you're not being left behind, that Allah is working, just not always in the way we expect, not through instant miracles or big changes, but through small shifts in your heart and your life. Maybe you've started letting go of things that no longer bring peace. Maybe you're craving silence and stillness more than distraction. Maybe you've stopped chasing what doesn't feel right, even if the world says you should. These are not empty moments. These are signs. The heart doesn't change for no reason. The soul doesn't seek deeper answers unless it's being pulled somewhere meaningful. And today, as we move forward in this message, I want to walk you through those signs, not as a checklist, but as gentle reminders that you are not abandoned. Because when nothing around you seems to move, that's when Allah is often moving the most, behind the scenes, within your heart, beneath the surface. There is wisdom being written into your waiting, and there is healing growing in places you haven't seen yet. So if you've been feeling lost, if you've been questioning your worth or your future, if you've been wondering whether Allah is even aware of what you're going through, let this message be the reminder your soul has been waiting for. Stay with me, because in the next section, we'll step into one of the most powerful examples of silent divine planning, the story of a prophet who faced darkness, rejection, and injustice, but who was never forgotten by Allah. His story will help you see your own pain in a new light. Let's take a step back in time to the story of someone who was deeply loved by Allah, but who still went through betrayal, isolation, and years of waiting. Someone whose journey wasn't a straight path, but a winding road filled with heartbreak and confusion. His name was Joseph, a prophet, and his story is one of the clearest examples of how Allah works silently, yet perfectly. He was just a boy when the people he trusted most, his own brothers, turned against him. They didn't just dislike him, they plotted against him. They threw him into a dark, empty well and walked away. Imagine that moment. Imagine being a child, calling out for help, and hearing only silence, not knowing why this happened, not knowing if anyone will ever come, not knowing if this is where it all ends. But even in that well, alone and terrified, Allah had not abandoned him, because that well wasn't a grave, it was a doorway, the beginning of a journey that would lead to greatness. Joseph didn't know it at the time. He couldn't see what was ahead. All he had was faith and the strength to survive another day. From the well, he was taken by strangers. He ended up in a foreign land, in a stranger's home, and just when things seemed to settle, a new test came. He was falsely accused, blamed for something he didn't do, and thrown into prison again without justice. Another dark place, another silent chapter. Years passed. No news, no help, no explanation. But once again, that prison wasn't the end. It was preparation, because behind the scenes, Allah was setting things in motion. He placed the right people in Joseph's path. He gave him the gift of interpreting dreams, something no one else around him could do. And one day, one of those dreams would reach a king. Suddenly, the boy who was once forgotten in a well and ignored in a prison, was now being called to the palace. He was listened to, respected, and finally freed. But more than that, he was trusted with leadership. He became a man of wisdom, compassion, and dignity. And when he finally faced the same brothers who had betrayed him years earlier, he didn't take revenge. He forgave them with grace. What a journey, from a well to a prison to a palace. But what's even more powerful than the outcome is the silence in between. The parts where it looked like nothing was happening. The years when Joseph must have asked, "Why me?" The moments where everything seemed unfair and hopeless. And yet, not for a single moment was he forgotten by Allah. Every step, every delay, every injustice was part of something bigger. And the same may be true for you, because just like Prophet Joseph, you may be going through your own well right now, a place where you feel hidden, overlooked, misunderstood, left behind. Or maybe you're in your prison season, waiting for things to make sense, hoping for relief that never seems to come. But here's the truth. What feels like punishment may actually be protection. What feels like silence may be spiritual elevation. And what feels like being stuck may be your moment of being spiritually repositioned closer to Allah. Because He does not waste your pain. He does not ignore your tears, and He does not delay without wisdom. The Prophet Joseph's story is not just a story of success. It's a story of surrender, of trusting the process even when it's slow, of believing in Allah's plan, even when the plan doesn't make sense. And it's a reminder to every soul who's hurting right now that your darkest seasons may be holding the seeds of your greatest transformation, that your most painful trials may be leading you to your most beautiful purpose, and that Allah's silence is never absence. He is always working, He is always watching, and He is always writing something greater than you could imagine. So hold on, your story isn't over yet. It's just beginning, even if it's starting in a place you didn't expect. Now let's bring this story closer to where you are, because even though the Prophet Joseph lived thousands of years ago, his emotions, his pain, his questions, they're not that different from ours. He was betrayed by his own brothers. Some of you have felt that too. You trusted someone deeply, a sibling, a friend, a spouse, and they turned their back on you. And it wasn't just the betrayal that hurt, it was the silence afterward, the lack of apology, the way they moved on like nothing happened. And you were left with the pieces. He was falsely accused of something he didn't do. Some of you have lived that as well, being blamed unfairly, losing your reputation, having to explain yourself to people who already made their minds. He was locked away in prison, isolated, forgotten. Some of you are not in physical prisons, but you feel emotionally locked in, trapped in a job that drains you, trapped in a toxic home environment, trapped in anxiety, in depression, in pain you can't explain to anyone.
For years, nothing made sense to him, just like how nothing makes sense to you right now. But through all of that, he kept turning to Allah, not with perfect strength, not with constant joy, but with honesty, with patience, with hope. Because even when no one else saw what was happening inside him, he knew Allah did. And that's what I want to remind you of right now. Whatever you're going through, however long you've been stuck in this chapter, it doesn't mean you're being punished. It might just mean you're being protected. It might mean you're being prepared. It might mean that something better is being written for you, one silent thread at a time. You see, the Prophet Joseph wasn't just rescued from the prison, he was raised through it. He became wiser, stronger, softer, more grateful. He came out of that season with a heart that was closer to Allah than ever before. And that's the kind of transformation you may not even realize is happening in your life right now. You might not see it yet, But the person you're becoming is not the same person who entered this trial. You're learning to rely more on dua. You're discovering how to let go of control. You're understanding what real trust in Allah looks like. And those are the things you can't learn when everything is easy. That kind of growth only happens in the silence. So if your life right now feels confusing, if you're watching other people succeed while you're stuck wondering why not me, if you feel like your prayers are going unanswered, pause and remember this. The Prophet Joseph's story didn't skip the hard parts. The well wasn't skipped, the betrayal wasn't erased, the prison wasn't shortened. But through it all, Allah never left him, and He will never leave you. Because the same Allah who guided Joseph out of the well, the same Allah who gave him peace in the darkness, the same Allah who brought justice when no one else would, is the same Allah who is watching over you right now. Not a different one, not a less powerful one, the same. Forever near, forever wise, forever merciful. And just like Joseph, your story isn't over. There is purpose in your pain. There is meaning in your waiting. And there are signs, quiet, subtle signs, that something sacred is happening beneath the surface. In the next section, we're going to talk about the signs. 7 moments, 7 signals. Each one a reminder that even when the world is silent, Allah is not. Now that you've heard how the Prophet Joseph's story unfolded through betrayal, prison, and eventually healing, let's talk about you. Because maybe you're not waiting for a miracle. Maybe you are the miracle, and it's just not fully visible yet. Sometimes Allah doesn't announce His work with big signs. Instead, He places gentle moments in your life, small signs of change, quiet signals that something deeper is happening within you. These signs are not always dramatic, but they are real. Here are 7 signs that Allah may already be working silently on your behalf, even if you can't see the full picture yet.